Let me know when you're ready. All right, we're gonna go ahead and get ready. All right, so first I open up with what's called the all prayer, and you don't look down, you just look straight ahead, you look up. A thing about prayer, most people say, you know, they'll tell you that heaven is up, and then they'll tell you hell is down. But then when they'll tell you, when you're gonna pray, bow your head. Why would you be looking down for prayer? Not only that, but they tell you that heaven is up and hell is down. And when they want to talk to their ancestors, they'll go to the graveyard and they'll do what? Look down. Yeah. Yeah. So those are some contradictions there. I'm going to do this in English. Begin all prayers and begin all thinking and all prayers as a part of all. I am in the love of all, and all love is in me. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one as all, and all is one as me. I can succeed as a part of all, or fail as an individual person. I can be all that I wish in all, as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is, I am. All can, I can. All does, I do. The importance of that is to recognize your position in all. Everything is connected. You're never alone. You're never by yourself. Everything is like last week we talked about it being like a web, a spider's web. Even though the spider may be way over there, if he feels a vibration on the furthest edge of his web, he still recognizes it and can go right there. Everything is connected. All people are connected. It's just you start to fail when you think I'm by myself. There's no one to help me, then, because that's the illusion. That's not true. Everything is connected. All right, so let's go get started. Where did we leave off last week? Mr. Alani and Tito, you guys know?
Page 48. We've read all the way to, I believe, point 14, 15. It says.
Yes,
14?
Yep.
All right. Wait a minute.
We were talking about the elements.
Yeah.
Combustion, oxygen, and just.
Carbon dioxide, photosynthesis, all that stuff.
Okay. Yeah. When I saw photosynthesis, that was in 15. So remember that one.
Yeah, we're right around there.
Yeah.
I think we read 15.
I think so too. Because we talked about how everything recycles.
And we read 16 because it relates to it. I think maybe we're at 17 or around it.
Okay. All right. Then I will take, we'll do 1, 2, 3. We'll do 9 verses. All right, so I'll start with 17. Scroll 14, the mind. 17, his or her body is returned to the earth, to the Adama of the ground, where it becomes food for the plants. 18. This is but one small example of the complicated and interdependent relationships that exist among all things. 19. It hardly seems possible that such a world could have been created by an accident of nature. 20. Relationships like this exist throughout the cosmos. 21. Consider the size of the universe. All right, synopsis. This is talking about the cycle of nature, how things recycle. In the previous verses, we talked about how humans breathe out carbon, plants take in that carbon, plants release oxygen, humans breathe in oxygen, that this whole cycle exists throughout the cosmos. You as a person are from this planet Earth, and when you expire, that flesh will turn back to the ashes, back to the earth. But even this earth itself, she has her birth from an exploding sun. So if you look at it as a parent-child relationship, it would be the Earth's parents would be that exploding sun that birthed it. And then that sun also had a parent that birthed it. That relationship exists throughout the cosmos. As we're talking about, everything is related. Now, humans have the bad habit of thinking that we are predominantly flesh, solid, and not liquid, even though in school they teach you over and over again that how much of your body is water. Percentage.
80?
I'm hearing 70 and I'm hearing 80. Yeah, it's around 70 to 75% water. Now, if I gave you a test and I said your 75% of your test will be on topics covered under A, and 25% of your test is going to be going to be reflected from what we study under B. What are you most likely going to focus on? Why?
Is that the majority of the test?
Right. And yet, humans being being 3/4 water and 1/4 flesh, seem to always focus on this part. How do I look? And you see everybody's in the gym to do this part. No one is thinking about the most important part, water. Most people today are dehydrated. Who drinks a gallon of water a day here? That's good. When you don't drink water, you get dehydrated, meaning your cells can't take in the oxygen that it needs to be refurbished all throughout your body. When you become hydrated, your brain cells become dehydrated, and that's when you start becoming forgetful. This also carries on over years, and so when you get older, what happens? Dementia. Alzheimer's. And it can all be avoided through staying hydrated. The other thing about water that we talked about, who remembers something very particular about water? All right, Mr. Cariño Tito.
Water holds memories. So whatever you, let's say if you drink water, you should do like a positive affirmation such as, let water heal me, let water, anything that's positive, the water will hold that energy and that memory into that water.
All right. You remember that?
Yeah. Water holds like energy in it.
Okay.
You can transfer bad energy in it, happy energy.
Mr. Alani, what were you going to say?
Similar stuff, right along the lines of, what you just said.
I'm going to Zoom. I meant to go to YouTube. Let's see, what are they talking about in this water?
Yeah, you got that.
Oh, this is pretty short.
People on Zoom do it? Maybe?
My niece was going to, I don't know. I don't have time to think about them. We got other things we got to think about.
Yeah. Also, careful of that cord, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this is Dr. Emoto. He was the one that published this study. It's very short, but very profound. Does human thoughts and emotions have any impact on water? When water molecules were exposed to different emotions, the molecular structure of water changed. With this research, he discovered that the water we drink and use has memory. Love and gratitude. You disgust me, Ahmed George Mason. Okay. So now, let's go back over that. Water has memory. How much of your body is water?
75%.
Now, let's think about that. Dr. Emoto has shown that your emotions, Juan's emotions, has an effect on water. Your body is 3/4 water. So by your emotions, you can program the water that is in your body. Not only that, but whenever you're holding water, you're already, whatever thought's going through your head, you're programming it without you even knowing it. So now what we want to do is consciously take control of that. When you hold water, give it the message that you want to give it, and then drink that water. Not only that, but be cognizant of the water that is already in your body and give it a message. This is why mantras are so very important. What is a mantra? What is a mantra? Anybody?
A mantra?
Yep.
A message, right?
Yes. Hmm? A motto.
A motto?
Yeah, a motto. Okay, yeah, you're closer.
It's a programmable phrase
All right.
used to set you on the right path.
Yes, it's a motto or a phrase that you say over and over again to redirect your energies. More importantly, to program your water. Whatever it is, that's when people say, I am worthy, I am loved, I am happy. If you say that over and over again, your body, that water in your body, picks up that message and then starts steering you in that direction. Just like if a parent tells a child, you're ugly, you're not worthy, you don't deserve anything, then that program, his body, his water, absorbs that program and then replays it. So that when he gets older, he's doing things to confirm that he's nobody, he's unworthy, he doesn't deserve love. So that's why you got to be very, very careful of the words that not only come out of your mouth when you speak to someone else, but in your silent time, your silent talk. What are you actually saying to yourself? This type of talk, this self-talk is what people don't monitor. We just go through our day and we have this self-talk, but we don't really take an inventory of those internal thoughts that we're having to ourselves, about ourselves. But it plays out in our everyday life. But once you start taking control of your internal thoughts, miracles happen. The sky's the limit. You just have to be cognizant and conscious of it and take control of it. Questions?
how do we, like, what's the process that we communicate with water? Is it like telepathic? Like, how does it detect our emotions?
Transfer, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, how does it transfer? Like,
That is a good question.
That's
Is
like a
it?
technical question.
No. You're right, and telepathy is part of it. As we talked about in previous meetings, we talked about what are the 5 senses that you have?
Smell, hearing, touch.
I heard somebody say hearing. Heard somebody say touch.
Seeing.
And taste. See, hear, touch, smell, hear, touch, see, taste. There are also another set that you don't hear about or is not taught. Those other higher senses are I heard intuition,
Instinct?
that would go under intuition.
Clairvoyant.
And the last one,
Psychic?
close. I think it's spelled right. Psychometry.
What are those two? Clairvoyant and psychometry?
All right. So what Panabab Yanun, Dr. Malachi Z. York, has taught is that originally humans had 9 senses. That included telepathy, being able to communicate without using your mouth, mind to mind. Intuition, that is your second brain that they call a solar plexus, where you can feel, you get a sense of what's going to happen before it happens. Then you have clairvoyance, that's clear sight, being able to see what is going to happen. And psychometry is, for instance, I've held on to this eraser, then I give it to Ahmed George Mason, and he's able to discern something about me from the impression that I left on that eraser. That is psychometry.
Wait, he can detect something about you from the eraser you just touched?
Yes, that is psychometry. Now,
Can you give an example? Like,
yeah. You see this every day throughout nature. You just haven't realized what you were seeing. For instance, if anyone had or has a dog, that dog knows your scent. And by him recognizing your scent, he recognizes you. So even though Khalid is sitting there, if Khalid were to leave and he had a dog and that dog came in and that dog would pick up that scent that his master Khalid was there. Now, in a similar fashion, humans used to have this, or it was at the brain stem. And it was called the barotheric gland. However, it was surgically removed to be taken out of the genes except for a remnant of it on the brain stem. This is why some people still have some remnants of one of these or maybe all of these, and you call them psychics or you call them mediums. But even though everybody has some of these to some degree because they couldn't remove it totally off of the brain stem. Now, who's the they? The they that removed it were what?
Acadite.
Acadites?
That starts with an A, right?
Right? A something, right?
You tell me.
Oh,
Like,
no. I remember.
The isodyne.
I do not.
The isodyne.
I do not.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
They came with a stack.
What could be added up?
You got the first letter right.
The Anunnaki. All right. So what Panabab Yanun teaches is that when this group came, these Anunnaki, and I gotta bring Juan up because he wasn't in these conversations. When the Anunnaki came, they started making a people to do work they didn't want to do. And because they started creating these new people were not supposed to have access to certain information on the planet. So what other groups, the Natharu, the Pleiadians, the Reptilians, the Greys, the Anunnaki, they had to remove these senses from everybody on the planet, except for chosen ones. And you call them prophets or whatever term you give to them. They removed this from the gene pool, the telepathy, intuition, clairvoyance, psychometry, but they couldn't remove it totally from your brain stem without damaging your brain. And this is why people still have glimpses of it. Now, who are these Anunnaki? The Anunnaki are I'm going to say a group of gods. And the reason I'm going to tell you why I'm going to use the word gods instead of aliens. They are a group of gods that came from their star system to this star system in search of gold because something was happening on their planet. The ozone was depleting, and they knew that if they had enough gold, they could suspend it in the atmosphere. The sun's rays would hit the gold and then reflect it back, and then their ozone would be protected. When they came here, they found that Earth was rich in gold. And they initially had to start doing the work, but they were getting hurt and they were getting killed because they weren't used to that type of hard labor. So they started complaining to one of their leaders named Enlil, saying, look, we're getting harmed, we're getting killed, the work is too hard and you're not doing anything about it. And so they led a revolt and they were going to kill Enlil. Enlil's messenger, who you know of in scripture, is Gabriel or Jabriel, or his other name, his Anunnaki name is Nusku, was the servant of Enlil. So he had to go back and tell Enlil, look, they are getting ready to come and raise hell and try to kill us. And so Enlil and his half-brother Enki, let me bring those up for you. What?
Enlil and who? Sorry, Enlil? Inky?
Yeah, 1 second. Search.
I remember Anunnaki looks scary. I don't know if that's a true image though, because I think that's how the people think it looks.
I searched on Enlil. How do I get it to?
Oh, that's scary. Yeah.
Whole words, case sensitive, include books, include comments, replace text.
Are you control-Fing it?
Yeah, I'm control. Oh, let me try that one. Control.
Yeah, control F and then just type in like the
Yeah.
keyword name or something. If they have the name of the Yeah.
I don't know when I see it.
I think you press the arrow.
Yeah, click those arrows.
Oh,
and
yeah.
maybe you'll keep going next.
All right. Well, here I'll let one of you guys take it. It should reach.
IT.
1 second.
ENLIL, correct?
ENLIL. Here you go. All right. So, and as the story goes, there was a revolt. Time check.
Almost 11.
10:57.
10:57. Let's take a 5-minute break for restrooms and stuff.
Right now?
Yes. Yeah. I saw Alani stretch, so I said, time for a break.
can listen to this. Very interesting for hours.
I know, time does go by like that.
So I don't really align with the wordage in describing them as gods, right? Because when you say a god, you're speaking of a higher entity
Right.
that is far more capable than what you and I think is feasible to.
Okay, we'll keep that in mind. I'll come to that. I'm going to tell you, let me not forget, the reason why I use the word God. Let me put that
But
up
that's
there.
just
No,
understanding of the word.
right, no, that's good, yeah. That is very good.
Yeah, it's just my general understanding. When
Right.
you say he's a god, you know, you automatically associate higher powers, you know, that he's capable of doing. But if they were God,
Yeah, I can't find it. It should be a picture like this,
I
but
don't see
I'll
God
just-
doing hard labor.
right. Yeah, I do get what you're saying. Right.
Go doing physical labor. If you have the capabilities to command and do things beyond our understanding.
Wait a minute, how do I pause this?
But that's why, you know, it's good to us, like, not really understanding the terminology. Mr. I want to talk to you about something maybe, I don't know if we can discuss later in this mind scroll or not. The power of manifestation.
Manifestation.
Yes.
Okay, yes. We can go over that.
Antrovia.
Yeah, it's so weird. Adobe is acting like can't find anything with Neely. That's the right spelling, right? E-N-I-L-I?
E-N-L-I-L.
Oh, A-N-L-I-L.
Your skills have been challenged.
Right.
Miserably thin.
There it is.
Oh, found it.
Sister of Anili. Anilil. We gotta find Anilil himself. Finish subject. I think it's going through.
Go back up. Take around. Just do Enlil.
Oh, just Anilil?
Yeah.
Pretty cool stuff.
And then at the end, put Nuwapu. N-U.
And you?
W-A-U. P-U. Yes, there we go.
Maybe if you type in Nawapu.
I'm still wondering who translated those pictures throughout the times?
Oh, what do you mean throughout the times?
Like, when was some of the earliest depictions that we received?
Okay. All right, that's a good question too. Let me put that up
I
here.
have a question too.
All right. Is Juan back?
Juan,
Okay.
no, he's in that.
Okay. We'll wait for Juan to get back.
Yeah, I know Juan will like a lot of this stuff.
We'll
He's
see.
really interested. Wait, I have one. So I know by having a motto, like always repeating words to yourself.
Uh-huh.
How do you kind of train your mind to always think like that in a way? Because you know, sometimes, like, would I have to do that every single day, right? I think best.
Okay, I'll cover that.
Yeah.
3 things I got there. Okay.
Like sometimes you know when I go out, like I'll have these like thoughts again, you know, like how do I want to train my mind to kind of like always be in that state?
Right.
I'm wondering how long do you think that would probably take?
Okay.
Yeah, the duration for my brain to kind of train and to like be programmed in a way to always think like that.
All right. So don't forget it.
Yeah.
This is Ahmed George Mason. Not to be confused with Ahmed Alani.
What?
Mason?
No.
Ahmed George Mason.
My last name is Mason. My middle name is George. That's my new name.
No. What's your last name?
Mason. Chidari.
Chidari.
What page are we on?
Sounds like a tribe.
The Chidari tribe, yeah.
So it was actually spelled with a Y. But then I think coming to America, they changed it to an I.
Oh, I thought it was with a Y.
Yeah, I know. No, it is. I think it is.
No, I thought you spelled it with a Y. You spelled it with an I?
Yeah, here I spell it with an
Entry. Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there's other Indians that are like Chaudhary with a Y.
Mm-hmm.
You just passed
Yeah.
a picture.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
They
Inky.
oppose the change.
Oh, Inky.
Inky. You just passed Inky.
Oh, Inky. You know what type of Inky?
What page is it? That's page.
I was going back to
50.
48.
All right.
Yeah.
You just passed it. I saw it.
Shouldn't be in.
Should be kind of
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, you have to go down.
All right, let's wait for these guys to get in here.
Is it thoughts? Thoughts become words.
Yes.
Words become action.
Actions become reality.
Action becomes habit.
And habit becomes
You,
character.
character.
Yep.
You are what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the Muslims do allow
You're close.
water.
Yeah.
You see this, team?
Allow
Yeah.
water. Muslims
Right there,
Yes.
right there, right there. No,
they,
no.
they
Right there.
practice
That picture.
allow water.
Keep going down.
They practice a lot.
Let me go slow.
You have,
Here.
they drink water that was prayed over.
Oh, yeah. Jews do that too.
That's it.
Zamzam?
Zamzam.
Zamzam,
So,
it's a holy water.
No, it's what you just said.
Yes.
About transferring the thoughts
into water. Yeah.
You know, that's actually evidence of how that works.
It's a famous water spring. It's in Mecca. It's close to the Medina. It's called Zamzam. It's,
Yeah, you're talking about the well called Zamzam. Yeah.
No, I'm saying a lot of Muslims they buy a lot of water.
Yeah.
Water that has been prayed over.
Yeah, but you can only get it from Zamzam. You cannot, like, the original source for it is from that place. That's the only place you can. But they export it, supposedly into like multiple locations for people to buy them from.
All right, so let's get started. All right, so now I had mentioned that the Anunnaki were a group of gods. and then I was going to say Ahmed George Mason. Ahmed Alani has a thought about the term God. Go ahead and share.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? What we say this when we hear the name God, what goes in your mind? It goes in my mind. I interpret a higher entity that is far more capable of doing things that we cannot imagine. I feel like it defies the description that you're explaining, saying that they came here to mine gold.
Right.
Right? I cannot seem to associate hard labor and the term God
Right.
Together. Because
Okay.
I feel like gods do not conduct. I just feel like the term God, doesn't sit well when you also mention physical hard labor.
Okay. Understood. All right. So, why would I associate Anunnaki, who came from their star system, to this star system for the purpose of extracting gold and other minerals to take back to their star system? Now, when you look at the major texts of religion used today, namely the Torah, the Bible, the Quran, even though the Bhagavad Gita should also be in there because there's over, I don't know if there's quite a billion, but there's a lot of Hindus that use that text. But the three major religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam have the same or similar stories, the same characters, the Adam, the Eve, the Noah, the Moses, the Abraham, the Isaac, the Jacob, the Yahshua or Jesus or Isa, and then Muslims carry on with Muhammad. All of them talk about their particular deity. In the Torah, the first of those three, those deities are called Elohim. And it talks when you open up to the Torah, and it said in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. That word God, of course, is English, but the word there is Elohim. It's talking about in the beginning, the Elohim did this, the Elohim did that. Then when you come over into Christianity, this word becomes or it might be another H in there, Theos. And they interpret it from the Hebrew, they'll interpret it into your English Bible as God. Then they'll translate this as God. And then when you come to the Quran, and then in English, they'll all translate this as God. Elohim, Theos, Allah. Now, the issue here becomes one of translation. Elohim is plural and not singular. So when it says in the Torah and in your Bible, in the beginning, as a matter of fact, let's just bring that up. Ahmed George Mason, can you just Google Genesis 1 KJV? And I'll wait for them to bring it up, as a matter of fact.
1 kg?
Look, if you're not going to get it right, you're going to be fired. Now we want Genesis chapter 1 KJV. That means King James Version.
Go off images.
Yeah. Is this right here, brother?
Scroll up off images. Click all.
Oh,
Yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah. And yeah, just go right here. All right, so what does that very first sentence say?
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth.
All right,
The heaven and the earth.
so it has right there, God singular. Now we're going to do a little bit of research here. Open up another tab, and I want you to type in Strong's Hebrew Concordance of the Bible. This way you can see it for yourself, all right? Now, scroll down. Wait, yeah, click on that first one.
Yep.
All right, so now I want you to type in the word God. Search. Now, click on this H430. All right. Elohim, a noun and what? Plural. And it means what?
Rulers, judges,
Gods.
So, where you see in your Torah, it says God, singular, is a mistranslation. It's actually a plural. It's in the beginning, gods. This doesn't even say created, but I'll go with created. In the beginning, gods created the heavens, plural, and the earth, singular. Also with Theos. Theos was originally plural, that they translate as a singular. From the word Theos, you also get the word those, plural. And this was coming from a deity of ancient Egypt, Tahwaret. Now, when you come to Allah, you also have Allahumma. That is a plural. But all the translations will give you a singular. All of these, Elo, Elohim, Theos, Allah, Allahumma, are all reference Why do I say this? All of these characters and these gods come out of the stories recorded on stone tablets in Sumeria that reference the Anunnaki. The Adam and Eve story was first recorded by the Anunnaki in Sumeria. The Abraham story is also recorded by the Anunnaki, Sumeria. The flood story, also recorded first by the Anunnaki. So it occurred here first and then got usurped into the Torah, into the Bible, and into the Quran. So here we have the original, and here we have the mistranslated copy. But we're supposed to base our life, our spirit, and our soul off of the copy and not the original. So that when we say God, a certain mindset clicks in, supreme, above doing manual labor, and all, but nowhere in the original did it say that. How did it get from physical deities to this spiritual deity that you can't see, you can't touch, you don't have access to? That wasn't how it was with the Anunnaki in the beginning. And now that they have found in 1947 the Dead Sea Scrolls, it's throwing the ideas that we got from religion into chaos. That's why they're releasing the Dead Sea Scrolls piece by piece, because if they were to totally translate it and release it, they think it would cause mass hysteria and chaos. What is in the Dead Sea Scrolls that they don't want us to know? Anybody? Yes, more specifically.
What truly are the gods?
Yeah.
A little breakdown of the beginning.
Yeah. All right. So in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there is something that shocked them when they read. Well, let me go back to the Dead Sea Scrolls first. The Dead Sea Scrolls were found in a cave near the Dead Sea. Some boys were out playing, and one boy had thrown a rock up into the hills, and he heard something shatter. Then when he went to investigate it, he found all of these jars with these ancient writings in them. And they took him back to his village. Somehow those scrolls ended up in some guy in America who had bought them. Then eventually the government of Israel got their hands on them. So that's where they are right now. And in these texts, it talks about giants. It talks about how a group of gods called... That's right. The Igigi, and in English they translate it as watchers. It talks about how these Igigi, or watchers, were supposed to watch over certain groups of humanity, but they started having sex with these humans. And would you go to, wait a minute, do a search on Google, the sons of God saw the daughters of men, KJV.
Genesis, that's Genesis.
I want to say 5, but I forgot. The sons of God saw the daughters of men. Got it?
Yeah.
KJV, all right? 6:2. All right, so what does that, read it?
Let me read it.
Yeah.
That the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they choose.
Read 3 and 4 too.
And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years.
And read that next one.
There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men, which were of old, men of renown.
Okay. Now, that particular passage is expanded upon in the Dead Sea Scrolls. They talk about these sons of God were the Igigi. The Igigi were under the command of Enlil. Bring Enlil back up.
Very.
Is that?
Right after you do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Enlil?
Yeah.
So it,
Yeah.
it says the Igigi, like when I just did a quick search, were the ones, were the subgroup tasked in doing the labors.
Yeah, Enlil was the one over the Igigi. So when it's talking about the sons of God, the sons of this God, Enlil, were tasked with watching over. It was 300 of them. They were tasked with watching over, and they weren't supposed to come down out of their ships to earth, but they did. And they started having sex with the humans and started giving birth to giants. And then the Dead Sea Scroll picks up that these giants had a voracious appetite, and the humans were trying to keep them fed. But then when they ran out of food, the giants started eating the humans. And then the giants started eating the other giants. And so this was, and according to the Dead Sea Scrolls, that part of the earth had to be flooded and restarted. And it talks about Gilgamesh being amongst these Igigi. And so now it puts a different spin on what people call God. Because according to these ancient texts, it was actually gods. And these gods were sent here to do laborious work that they didn't want to do. And it was he and his brother, Enki, who decided on a compromise because the people were revolting and were trying to kill Enlil. And so they said, well, we'll do this. We'll create another type of people to do the work that we don't want to do. And so that's when they started taking from the Homo erectus species and concocting a Homo sapiens. So they sped up evolution by thousands of years so that people could receive orders and do the work that they didn't want to do. Questions there so far? Okay. These Igigi had one who became their leader. His name was Nanar, son of Enlil. It was his idea to sneak down on the planet and start raping these women and having kids. And so because of that, him and 199 others, it was 200 of them altogether, he being the 200th, were kicked out of Nibiru. That was their planet-sized ship, never to return. They were banished here to Earth. That is the story of the fallen angels, where it talks about Iblis in the Quran, or it talks about the devil, or Lucifer, whose name was actually Nanar. He's known as the deity of light and fire. He's also, at one time, he is called Baal of the Canaanites. And his father also has that title of being Baal of the Canaanites. Those all reference the Anunnaki of Sumeria, who are responsible for one group of creation called the, you say something? Yep, Adamites. Yeah. One group of people called the Adamites. They were created. Now, somebody said something about the origin. I think it was Alani. So the story of the Anunnaki and their creation of Sumeria goes back 6,000 years, 5,000 plus years, around to 6,000 years. Also coincides with the creation of, or I should say, also coincides with the existence, the first existence of the Caucasians. Before that, there were no Caucasians on the planet. After that, then there were Caucasians on the planet. And because of that, those 4 higher senses that we mentioned were removed, because these people were not supposed to get access to that information. And the reason why was because of how the Adamites were made. The Adamites, this is one group of Caucasian, not all Caucasians, because there were Caucasians, these were from the Neanderthal. There were some that was from the Cro-Magnon. But these Adamites were also made not just with human, let me go back. These Anunnaki, when they wanted to make a man from Homo erectus to Homo sapien, they had to get permission to use certain DNA, the DNA of the Africans. And these Anunnaki had to speak to what we would call the overlords or overseers of those Africans. And that brings you to the, you know the name? Natharu. You have the Natharu and the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki were in Sumeria, the Natharu was in Africa. They requested permission from the Natharu to use Africans' DNA to make another people that would serve the Anunnaki. And it was granted. This is why when geneticists trace the origin of man or people, it all traces back to Africa. This is also why geneticists are now saying that everybody on the planet is mixed with Neanderthal DNA except for Africans. They're now saying that Africans were here, Cro-Magnons were here. Cro-Magnon died out. Africans were here, Neanderthal were here. Neanderthal died out. The Africans were here, the Denisovans were here. Denisovans died out. Africans were here, Adamites were here. Now is a time that Adamites are also dying out because their telomeres were to last 6,000 years and then begin their decline. We'll talk about telomeres. I was going to go back and say...
Yeah, I don't know what telomeres is.
Okay, let me just take a note there. Yeah,
I know what they're.
Where?
I have a question that.
All right. I want to go back to some of the questions that we had before. Go ahead.
How come in this current day and age, right, we're not witnessing a lot of things that seems to used to happen very frequently, from prophets to miracles, you know?
Right.
It's been 2,000 years,
Yes.
relatively,
Right.
that we have not experienced any of the stories that been, you know, dwelling on us.
Like,
this current.
for instance, give me an example.
So, from our prophets, right? So,
Yes.
like, it's a miracle.
Yes.
And everyone in his time was speaking about all the miracles that
Right.
happened in the age of Islam for the Prophet Muhammad, right?
Right.
We don't see that. And that is the most recent timeline for
Yeah.
us. And that's
Give me an example of the miracle that you're talking about.
I'm gonna have to take it back to some I just remember on top of my head.
Okay.
When Moses, I think it was Moses, he commanded, you know, like mountains, you know, a mountain was flying on top of a certain group of people.
Okay.
Giving them shade.
Right.
That's a miracle, to see a complete mountain flying.
Right.
Splitting the Nile.
Right.
How come we don't see stuff like this?
Okay, good question.
Huh? I'm not. So I think it's an older story. It's I don't remember
The details?
accurately on top of my head, but
I got what you're saying. All right, so let's just recount some of the miracles that we.
huh?
Well, let's recount some of the miracles that we've been told about through Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. All right, so I heard the splitting of the,
Nile.
what was the Red Sea?
The Red Sea,
Yeah.
Because it seems like that's an event, especially the Nile being split, that is pretty.
The Red Sea.
The Red Sea.
Yeah. All right. What are some of the other miracles?
Speaking to the animals, I forgot his name. Was it Moses again?
I'll say speaking. There's one where there's a conversation between them and a donkey. That was a miracle. There's also a miracle. Okay. Rising from the dead. Then there's one where healing the sick. Okay.
David and the blind?
Well, no, that wasn't a miracle. Let's see. We've got rising from the dead. That was Lazarus.
There's a spiritual miracle, but I don't know if you want to include it, when the Prophet Muhammad traveled to
Al-Aqsa from Muhammad, from Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Yeah, that's it. You traveled on the Barak, right? He traveled on the Barak? Prophet Muhammad?
Yes.
Telepathy. To Moses.
What do you mean?
Oh, the burning bush.
God speak unto Moses.
Okay.
Abraham being burnt and through the fire, and the fire didn't escape him at all.
All right. So you're talking about Abraham's son, Isaac or Isaac.
No, Abraham himself.
Abraham thrown into the fire?
Yes.
I don't remember that one.
Or Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I think there was one where with his son, child,
Yeah, I remember Isaac. Yeah, turns into a goat.
Yeah.
I don't remember that. But here's all right. So we got all of these miracles that Alani is saying. Why don't we see these today? Why don't we see the splitting of seas, or speaking with animals, or people amazingly rising up from the dead, or the sick just being healed just with a touch, or people ascending into heaven from a certain mosque or a certain place, or telepathy? Why doesn't God speak directly to us like he did in times past? The burning bush that was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Abraham also being thrown into a fire and he not being. Why don't we see any of this today? That is because
Take it from our brainstem?
No,
Nope.
they're doing what Amun is just doing.
no, no, those stories. Those are just stories. It did not exist. How do you know they did not exist? Because there's no proof or evidence that says there was an Adam and Eve. There's no proof or evidence of an Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. There's no proof or evidence of a Moses. There's no proof or evidence of a Noah. There's no proof or evidence of Jesus. There is proof and evidence of but Muhammad speaks upon, or I should say spoke upon, all of these stories. But to date, there is no proof that any of these characters ever existed. However, there is proof that these characters were plagiarized from older sources. The Noah story is recorded by the Anunnaki as in the Gilgamesh epics, when they had to flood that region to get rid of those giants. The Abraham story is recorded with, type in Anu, A-N-U, and Anu Nuwapu. The Abraham story goes like this.
Please spell it.
A-N-U, Anu. And then, just hit that. Let's see what comes up. No, Nuwap. Go N-A-N-U.
And then U.
Yep, W-A-U.
U-A-U.
Yep, and hit enter. And images. And, hit this one. All right, so as the story goes with Abraham, and I'll tell you, Abraham had his wife, and his wife's name was Sarah. And then Abraham and Sarah, they got kicked out of their land, and on their way, they went into the land of Canaan, and they had to keep going, and they had to go into Egypt. And then in Egypt, Abraham got another wife who was Hagar. And then later he took a third wife whose name was, how do you spell Keturah? The spelling might be off. Keturah. So he had these 3 wives. Now, Sarah, his first wife, could not give birth. So he had to mate with his second wife, Hagar, and they gave birth to Ishmael. And then Sarah, being jealous that Hagar gave Abraham an heir, kicks Hagar and Ishmael out. Later, these three beings, one called the Lord with 2 other beings, came to Abraham and said, Sarah's going to give birth. Sarah doubts it, but later Abraham and she gives birth to Isaac. That same story occurs with Anu. Anu was married to his mate, Antum. Now, Antum, and another one of his mates was, I want to say, Sia or Sia. I forgot the third one. But the story goes that Antum could not give birth. And so Anu, wait, I'm missing one. Anu, wife of Anu, Nuapu. All right. His first wife, no.
Anu's first wife?
Yeah, I forgot her name. But his first wife could not have children. So as the story goes, he had to take the second wife, Antum, and they gave birth to Enki. Then later, some higher beings come to Anu and tell him that his wife is going to have birth.
Her name's Antu? His wife?
No, that was Antum was his second wife. So they tell him that his first wife is going to give birth. And so what they did was basically untie her tubes so that she could give birth. And then later she gave birth to Enlil. The same story. Now, in the case of Abraham, after Abraham passes, everything goes to Isaac, even though Ishmael is his first son, but by his second wife. Isaac is his second son, but by his first wife. After Anu, rulership passes to Enlil, even though Enki is his first son from his second wife, but it passes to the second son from his first wife. It's the same exact story.
Wow. It's copied.
It's copied.
Plagiarized.
So to get back to Alani's question, why don't we see the miracles of yesterday happening today, is because those were copied stories from true events. But those copies, like the splitting of the Red Sea and Moses taking the Israelites over, never happened. There is no record anywhere in Egypt of Israelites. None. Even though the European Jews in Palestine today will say that's their land because God gave it to them, there's no evidence, no proof, no anything that justifies that conclusion. That's why today they're digging up Israel to try to find something to say that that land belongs to there. But to date, 2023, they found nothing.
So who to blame for all this misinformation?
Society.
No, that's a good question. The blame of all this information comes from 3 primary groups.
Brother Mariah, I have a question.
Wait a minute.
Because I'd just be annoyed, living in this life with all this information caused by...
The Anunnaki, the reptilians, and the Pleiadians. Those are the major players of all the misinformation that you see today. These three groups, Anunnaki, reptilians, and Pleiadians. As we talk, your question, let me write it down before I forget it.
I was going to say, since the Prophet Muhammad existed,
Right.
Are his miracles true?
All right, I'll come to that. Okay. Muhammad miracles. All right, so getting back to the Anunnaki, reptilians, and Pleiadians, as we talked about before, does this bring to mind anything when I draw this? What do you think?
6,000 years, 6,000 years, 6,000 years, 6,000 years.
Wait, what's that?
Time.
Oh, it's time.
The ages.
All right, so these beings or gods, whatever you want to call them, have a cycle. It's called a cosmic clock, and it's a 24,000 year cycle. The planet Earth itself is 24,956 miles in circumference, and it swells up at times and goes in at times, so it's 24,000 plus. The day, they rounded off to 24 hours. It's actually 23 hours, 56 minutes, and I think 46 seconds, and they round that to 24. They consider this, and then it takes our Milky Way, or our planet, I forget, it's a planet, or I forgot which one goes around, makes its complete circle in 24,000 years. They call this Sector 24. Now, this 24,000 year clock, Precession, yeah, is that 24,000? 24,000 years. This cosmic clock is broken up into 6,000 years. 6,000 year, you'll have, let's call this an era. You'll have a 24,000 gold era and a 24,000 silver era. What does that mean? And within this, you have a 6,000 year gold cycle, a 6,000 year, or I should say golden sun cycle, and then you have a 6,000 year silver moon cycle, followed by another 6,000 year golden sun cycle, followed by another 6,000 year silver moon cycle. This is how they have divided up the time. When we come to the end of one time and the beginning of another, certain messengers are sent to prepare to get rid of the old and to bring in the new. Get rid of the old, bring in the new. Get rid of the old, bring in the new. And then when the new 24,000 year clock starts, another being is sent to prepare for the entire new cycle. We are at that cycle now, as of the year 2000. He, Panabab Yanun, and do 24 elders Nuwapu. N-U, W-A-U, P-U. Okay, you're start right here. This is good. All right, so what you're seeing here, and I'm going to come to Matatrun as well. What you're seeing here is what Panabab Yanun says are the 24 elders that surround the throne of the Most High, as he says. He is number 19 of those 24 elders. He says he's an avatar, or a, what is the other word for him? It's like a person through whom these beings speak. He says when he picks up a pen and they want to say something, his hand just starts moving, which is why he's written more books than anyone in history. He has well over 1,000 books covering every topic. You know, as we sit here, every topic that we cover, I can go straight to Dr. York, who's covered that topic. So we are now at a new 24,000 year sun cycle. The old cycle, as of 2000, has to die, and a new cycle is coming, is being born. Now, there's also, my niece was telling me, a special on Netflix, and now I forgot the name of it, because she called me and she said, you know, when you talked about that, there's a special on Netflix where some archaeologist is talking about the same thing. He's going around the earth and he's finding evidence that, you know, because they like, archaeologists like to say civilization is only 6,000 years old.
Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock, he's the archaeologist who's been traveling.
Is that who it was?
Yep.
Okay, all right, yeah, I don't remember his name. But he's finding evidence that there's these Graham Hancock?
Yes.
All right, as soon as you get off your cell phone, I'm at George Mason, you can type that up.
Graham. Yeah, let's just put it on my phone.
I'm joking with you. No, so he's finding evidence of these ancient civilizations that well predate 6,000 years. All right, Graham Hancock. And he's, yeah. So, yeah. Of the what?
Of the gods. Fingerprint of the gods.
Plural?
Yes.
So, yeah.
He believes that at one point in time, you know, like we've been visited. And
Well,
there's remnants.
yeah, I don't want to hear what he believes. I want to hear what is the evidence that he's presenting and what conclusions. Because when you say, the reason why I say belief, you can believe anything you want.
Correct.
But what does the evidence support? And so his special on Netflix, he is showing you how they did the dating of these artifacts that predate well before
Ancient apocalypse, right there.
the ancient apocalypse, well beyond 6,000 years. And he's saying that it looks like at certain periods, at certain intervals of time, there's this change. It looks like the evidence is showing that something or someone stepped on the scene to help guide people in, like if there's going to be a catastrophic something, to show them how to go behind waterfalls, how to take shelter in caves, and then when the calamity was over, they taught them how to come out and how to restart. And he's saying, based on the frequency that he's seeing in his evidence, we're at that time now. That coincides with what Panabab Yanun was teaching us, that we're at a new 24,000 year cycle, and the reason why he has written so many books rather than doing public speeches is so that you can have these books as a guide for this new 24,000 year cycle. Time.
11:48.
All right. Questions? Go ahead, let me.
Time, as in the concept of time.
Yes.
It's a man-made concept that was first established by the Sumerians, you know, and that divided it to the 24-hour system to be passed down to a human level. I'm not talking.
Yes and no.
Time works different.
The reason why I say yes and no is because you said brought down by the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki only came here 6,000 years ago. But as we pointed out, these civilizations existed well before 6,000 years ago. And they also had a time.
But the concept of time to us is continuing to be foreign, right? Because your perception of time on Earth is different from the time being perceived elsewhere in the galaxy or the cosmos.
This is true.
So what my 24 hours and what my 60, 70 years of living on this Earth is completely different in the grand scheme of what time is.
All right, so let me ask you this question. You're 24, how old are you again?
28.
28 years on Earth means you went around the Earth's sun 28 times.
Correct.
So, what would you be on Jupiter?
Oh. Younger. You wouldn't be 28? Time moves differently there, right?
True.
That works.
Due
to gravity.
I'll be older, I think.
Oh.
Right? Because I'm not sure.
All right, go ahead.
I think the stronger the pull of gravity, the slower time moves by. The closer to the sun, more gravity. More slowly time.
So if he went around, if he's on Earth and he goes around the sun 28 times, we say 28 years old. Now let's take the same person, Ahmed Alani, and put him on Jupiter. And he went 28 times around here. So how many revolutions does Jupiter make around Earth's sun in Earth's 28 years?
I'll go 4.
Slower.
I'm gonna go 4.
What are you saying?
Why about 4?
Because it's a further distance. So
Half?
that's farther apart.
Right, okay.
Jupiter, largest planet in our solar system, takes approximately 11.86 Earth years to complete one orbit. around the
Okay.
sun.
So how old would you be?
So 12 times 28.
No. All right, you said it's 11, it takes about 11 Earth years.
Yeah, to make
That's
one
why I
orbit.
said
Right.
4. So level 3.
All right, so let's just draw it out. So this is Earth.
Yeah.
You went around there 28 times. There's 28 Earth times. 11 of those is 1 year. Another 11 is 22 years, and you're 2 years old. So then that's 22. So you got 6 years, and in another 5 years, you'll be 3. So you're actually on Jupiter.
6 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
you're a 2-year-old.
But I say this to say, to relate back to a lot of the conversations we speak on, time is different, right? We perceive in the sense of like,
No, I got what you're saying, Alani. But go ahead. Wait, I want him to finish his thought.
I just think because there's a lot that we still don't know when it comes to time, as in I ask myself questions, what is the longevity for like an Anunnaki person? How
Right.
long do they live for?
Right.
We know if you travel in space and you travel at the speed of light, what it takes for 6 months at the speed of light would be eons here on Earth.
Right.
So it's just that concept alone sometimes, renders
Right.
like, different paths of.
Right.
I feel like we're stuck here on Earth with this 24-hour time. And
Right.
everyone else around us in the cosmos experience time way differently than what we do here.
All right. So, time, matter, and space
Intertwined.
are intertwined. Now, this is a difficult concept for people to grasp. And I argue with people on Facebook about this all the time because they're thinking, well, you have to have space in order to put your matter and then start time. So they're thinking space is first, matter second, time is third. And I say, no, you can't have one without the other. Time, matter, and space are intertwined. When you have one, you automatically have the other. When you have the other, you automatically have the one. They're intertwined. You can't get away. They say, well, that can't be because you have to have that space first, and then you put in your matter. And then when you have that point, it starts time. I understand what they're saying, but they're thinking linearly. Time is not linear.
It's a complex.
Right. Time is actually spiral. And space actually unfolds. But then it becomes, what is that unfolding in which space unfolds into? So these are questions that physicists are asking because they know that time, matter, and space are intertwined, that you can't have one without the other. But then when you say the fabric of space, space can be warped, light can bend, and so our thoughts on time, space, and matter had to change once they found out light is not just this straight beam. You can actually bend light, that they see light bending around black holes. And space, they see the fabric of space being warped. How do you warp space? So space is something that has a fabric. That's why they call it the fabric of space. And time is intertwined with matter and with space. You can't have these one without the other. But when you think linearly, I do understand why people would say, well, you have to have the space first, and then you create the matter. And as soon as you create that point of matter, time starts its existence. That's a linear thought. But that's not how it is in reality. I was going to go back to something you mentioned before break, manifestation. Do you want to ask your question?
Well, it was mostly a general question, right, about manifestation. So I'm just like reading on it these past couple months.
Okay, I'll come to that. and you had a question about Muhammad and his miracles. What miracles did Muhammad perform?
I don't think it was a miracle, but an event, going with the Barak to visit the masjid.
All right, so he got on a Baraka Barouj. I forgot the name of it, but it's like a cross between a donkey and a horse, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And from El Aqsa Mosque, he traveled into the heavens.
They call it a magical horse?
A magical horse.
Oh, this right here. Let's say this.
Sagittarius.
A Sagittarius. All right. So, Baruch. All right, so now there's no proof that that happened because there's no proof of a Barak. Well, I take that back. In Sumeria, they are finding drawings of things like that, of winged animals, but not the winged animal itself. But there is no proof that, you can't prove that Muhammad got onto this and it ascended through the stratosphere, the mesosphere, all these spheres of Earth, and then into the outer space and into the heavens. How was his breathing controlled? Because when you ascend, the oxygen gets thinner. How did they keep him from passing out? Then did he go from the atmosphere through space and then into heaven? Or from the atmosphere, skip space, the outer space, and then into heaven? There's no proof. It becomes just another story.
Yeah. You know, in Ezekiel, no, not one in Ezekiel. They said Elijah.
Good point. Yeah.
Elijah was picked up by one
Yes.
and brought up. They say it looked like a wheel inside of a wheel.
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right. So. All right. So now I want you to.
So what if that's what he went in?
Right. Yeah. I'm going to come to that. What if that's what he went in? All right. Do Elijah, Elijah,
Yeah.
wheel within a wheel, KJV.
Can we read it?
Yeah.
The appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl.
No, read full chapter. Scroll down. All right, wait.
Elijah,
Yeah, from 3, 4.
Elijah, you looked at you folk don't know how to go.
All right, so here.
You never know what that.
Not really.
All right, so here, when you look at this, is what chapter are we in? Scroll up.
Chapter.
Ezekiel chapter 1. All right, so Travinci had mentioned, what about Ezekiel's wheel? Now, if you would just take 3 through 10, no, 11. Yeah, 3 through 11.
Read that?
Yeah, go ahead.
The word of the Lord came expressly onto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked, and behold, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself, and a brightness was about it, and out of the midst thereof, as the color of amber, out of the midst of the fire. Also out of the midst thereof came the likeness of 4 living creatures, and this was their appearance. They had the likeness of a man. And every one had 4 faces, and every one had 4 wings. And their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings on their 4 sides, and they 4 had their faces and their wings. Their wings were joined on one to another. They turned not when they want. They went every one straight forward. As for the likeness of their faces, they 4 had the face of a man, and the face of a lion on the right side, and they 4 had the face of an ox on the left side. They 4 had the face of an eagle. Thus were their faces, and their wings were stretched upward. 2 wings of every one were joined one to another, and 2 covered their bodies.
Okay, so that's the appearance, and no, this is something that Ezekiel says he saw coming down out of the sky that he describes as a wheel within a wheel.
Oh.
But when you look at the description and compare that to the description of the Barak, could it be that they saw the same thing? Now, I don't want to go too far into this, but this part where you got a man, you got an ox, you got, what was the third one? Lion. And an eagle. All of these represent the zodiac: Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and
Well, how does the eagle represent Scorpio?
yeah, the eagle. Yeah, it's eagle and phoenix. Is Scorpio. But that, so I'll get into the astronomy of that later. But what you're seeing here is UFOs even scattered throughout the Bible. I know we're short on time, where it talks about Moses and how when Moses was coming out of Egypt, going into the land of Canaan, it says he was guided by a cloud. And this cloud gave off light at night so that they could see their way. It's describing a UFO. Later we'll go into it. We don't have much time here.
And they talk to him in his head.
And they talk to him in his
Head.
yeah, in his head, the telepathy part. Then later, the next time you hear about Moses is when Jesus is going into a mountain to pray. And then it says a cloud came overhead and Moses was talking to Elijah. Oh, we took it off. He was talking to Elijah and he was talking to Moses from times past. That's another UFO. And the Muhammad being taken up, it calls a Barak, it's still another UFO. And then, what we were talking about last week, do Las Vegas alien landing. Go to YouTube, as a matter of fact. Wait, this might be it. 56, go to the second one, 144.
Hey Cuff Girls, let's be simply ageless. With America's #1
This-
anti-aging foundation.
when you went to Las Vegas?
Loving, hyaluronic
No, yeah, exactly.
Weren't you? I went to Las Vegas.
Yep,
Oh man, imagine if you saw it. Imagine if you saw it.
I know.
Were you sad? You missed out?
All right, good.
It's a scene straight out of the X-Files.
That's unreal. I've never seen anything.
Wait, that's not the one. Oh, wait, forward it. Oh, this is it. Yeah, go ahead.
Something is out there after allegedly having a close encounter of the third kind.
I swear to God, this is not a joke.
One witness calling 911 after they say an object fell out of the sky and landed in their backyard.
They're like 9 foot, 10 foot tall. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes, they have big eyes.
The mysterious object that fell from the sky, even the officers apparently saw that. The green glow of the alleged UFO was seen on this newly released body camera footage.
I have butterflies, bro. I've always thought shooting stars. People say there's aliens in their backyard.
So when that 911 call came in, less than an hour later, police were ready to believe it.
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to be dead. One of my partners said they saw something fall in the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or?
But after a brief investigation of the yard, officers closed the case as unfounded.
If those 9-foot beings come back, don't call us, all right? Deal with it yourself. I ain't dealing with that.
According to former intelligence officer David Rush, an alien craft landing isn't too far-fetched. Rush recently turned over documents to Congress claiming the U.S. government has a vast collection of vehicles that have non-human origin. An oversight committee in Congress.
Okay, you stop it. All right, and you should know that just last month they had that huge hearing about UFOs where the guy, I forgot his name, was talking about the projects he's worked on. They kept asking him, do they have not human beings but living entities? And he kept saying that he wasn't at liberty to say, but that he can say that he has encountered life that appears not to be from Earth, but he was very careful of how he was wording it. And what Dr. York was telling us, because he was been teaching this since the 1960s, and then recently in the 2000s, he was saying they're getting ready to reveal to you all the extraterrestrials are real because they can no longer cover it up. And we're at that time when the planet is like an onion, it's shifting. Water beds are drying up and they're finding these ancient civilizations. And so the record of history that we've been taught in school is being flipped upside down. We're starting to find out none of it was true. And we've been deliberately dumbed down because certain groups of aliens have been using humans and still use humans as food, as a food source. So those reptilians, those Anunnaki, and those Pleiadians have been using humans for food, and that's, I know we're out of time, but that's the reason why it says be fruitful and multiply in your Bible, in your Torah, because they wanted this food supply to continue. This is also why the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran bans or outlaws homosexuality and says that, you know, they should be killed. There is a reason why, a specific reason why. To open up a gateway, and we'll end here. A gateway is a portal through time and space. Before the Natharu closed those gateways, humans were able to step through the portal from here, the Milky Way, and then through, and I would be on a planet in Sirius or Orion or wherever that portal went to. When the Anunnaki came, they closed those portals. But you can open that portal if you have hermaphrodite and hermaphrodite. That is a person, a hermaphrodite is a person who identifies as a male but has female body parts. A hermaphrodite is a person who identifies as a female and has male body parts. That type of person vibrates at twice the rate of you and I, a male or a female. They have a double vibration. Let's say you have a 360 vibration, theirs would be 720. When you have two of these, let's say a hermaphrodite here, a hermaphrodite here, a hermaphrodite here, let's put it for her, and a hermaphrodite here, then you would need what they call the fifth element. And by having this and meditating or chanting at the same note, that same resonance, that same frequency opens up a portal through time and space. You could go anywhere through time, backward or forward, and anywhere in space. So the idea was to shun these, make these hermaphrodites and hermaphrodites look like freaks, make people who are gay look like bad people, and so the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, or specifically the Anunnaki, the Pleiadians, and the Reptilians say, kill them. That way, you can't open those portals. But now the planet is under new leadership. The Anunnaki, as of year 2000, had to leave because their time was up. And a new group is now in charge, and they are from Andromeda, and they're androgynous, meaning you look at them and you can't tell whether they're male or female. And because of their arrival, now you're seeing on TV all this thing about transgender and LGBTQ and binary. That's because this whole planet is now under new guidance.
Are they woke?
Woke actually came from Erykah Badu. Like when people say, "Oh, what is woke?" and you hear these people trying to explain what woke is. In order to know what woke is, you got to go to the author of woke, and that came straight from the mouth of Erykah Badu. Yep. I'm sorry that we didn't do our normal reading around the room, But I think, what time we got?
12:10.
All right, we're 10 minutes over. All right.
Hey man, finish off with the mantra thing, man.
Oh, the mantra, I forgot about that. Yeah. I need to, yeah, this is,
You know.
all right. Your mantra is very important. We talked about water.
Yeah.
So everyone should have a mantra, something that you repeat to yourself out loud, has to be out loud, at least 3 times a day. When you wake up, the middle of your day, and when you go to bed. First, you got to think about, what is it that I really want in life? And then you develop a mantra based around that particular want or desire. And you say that mantra 3 times a day at least, and you say it aloud. Now, there's certain things that an effective mantra must have in order for it to work, in order for you to change your life. One, it has to resonate with your mind, your mental. And 2, it has to resonate with your heart. Your feelings. So if you say something like, I want a house. Okay, you want a house. I want a house to provide for my family. Now you're adding some feeling into it. I want a house to provide for my family. Then you sit, and that's good, because now it's resonating with your mind, and it's resonating with your heart, and now certain pathways are being created. Again, they found out through neuroplasticity that you can create new brain cells and new pathways. And this is what you're doing when you have a mantra. I want a house to provide for my family. So now the house is the mental, I want this, the family is the feeling. And then you add to it. You see in your mind the exact house you want, and you add in the details. I want this type of door, I want these type of windows, I want this type of carpet, I want this type of stove. When you add in all those details, your mind starts to treat this image as real, because your mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. And so it treats it the same. And it will start moving you in that direction. Now, the mental is how you comprehend the vision, how you see it, how you add the details. The feeling is how you add the fuel. It's like you got the car, but there's no gas, so the car's not going to go anywhere. Once you add the gas, then your car begins to move. So you got to come up with a mantra, very short, that you can say 3 times a day, and then when you say it, add more details to that picture. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I want to start doing this every session we have. Come up, like next week, come up with your mantra. You can share it or not share it, but I want you to come up with your mantra, and we'll track that starting next week, 30 days. You'll say it every day for 3 days. You'll take status of where you are today, and we'll look at where you will be 30 days later.
And when you say these things 3 times a day, do you like close your eyes, take a deep breath, or you just how's the way?
Yeah, you just have a break, and you could be doing anything.
Relax.
No, you don't have to. You can be in there. You can be out. You can be at the gym where you take a break or whatever, and you say, I want a house to provide for my family. And then you go into your daydream. We do it all the time, but this time you're controlling what you're daydreaming about. You're daydreaming about the type of house you want. You're adding those details, and when you do that, every time you say, I want a house to provide for my family, those images automatically flood your brain. And your brain will take it and start to act upon it immediately. You do that anyway, especially men, because our genitals are on the outside instead of the inside. If you see someone that you want to have sex with, especially when you're young, you would start to get an erection, even though you're not touching her, you're not doing anything, all you're doing is imagining it. So you have all you're doing is imagining in your mind, and it's causing a physical reaction in your body. Your mental vision is causing a physical reaction in your body. So now let's control our mental vision and control the physical stuff that happens in our body. That's all you're doing with a mantra. And you're going to start going in a certain direction in the path of your mantra. But you have to do it at least 3 times a day. But what we're going to do 3 times a day for 30 days.
The mantra will definitely help with the thoughts and anxiety you have too, right?
Yes.
Just like approaching new people.
Right. Yes, a mantra will definitely help. All right, and then after this, I'll end. And also what helps,
Tips on it.
Also what helps is realizing I'm going to die. I know it sounds morbid, but when you realize I am going to die, then you say, F it, I'm going to do this anyway. Why? Because I'm going to die anyway. But the reason why people don't take chances is because you think you have time. But when you realize you are going to die, you realize time is short. Let me go ahead and do this now.
Take risks.
Yes. Whatever it is that you haven't been doing because I'll get to it later or I'm scared to do it. When you realize I am going to die, that fear goes away.
Sometimes still like, when you still have those thoughts, like, you still like have this like force kind of like stopping you from doing it sometimes. I don't know why. Like, do I have to like take baby steps to reach that?
Yeah, baby steps are always good because then you can be
You can't just
careful.
jump right into it, right?
You can, but it's a lot more risky. Yeah.
For your brain, right?
Yes.
To get adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta do baby steps.
You don't have to do baby steps, but for some people, they might like that the high risk, high reward. I'm just going to jump right into it. Other people want to be more cautioned. I would say take the cautious approach.
Yeah. Build it up, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
What's your mantra, if you don't mind sharing? Or do you have one?
I have.
Many.
Yeah, I have 12 actually.
Damn. Do you alternate or do you say 12?
No, I go through all 12, like 1, 2, every day.
How
Morning.
long is each? Like 2 sentences?
Let me see. Now, each one is a sentence. Let me see.
Just 1 sentence?
Yeah. Each one is a sentence, and I will say it begins with I thank you. You also you want to incorporate. Yes, that's right. Because gratitude puts you in the highest form of vibration, as you just saw with Dr. Emoto when he showed gratitude and love.
I was waiting for you to say that. They said that before.
What was that?
I was waiting for you to say that.
Yeah, right.
Acceptance.
Yep.
Do you say these out loud? Or
Yeah,
in your
you say
head?
no. I say them all. I say them both, but I make sure I say them out loud. That's when it's going to have the most resonance with the physical you. But if you just say it in your head, it's like having an idea that doesn't come out. It's like inhaling and not exhaling. You want it to breathe, so you can do it in and out. But yeah.
Wait, one more.
All right, one more.
Breathing.
All right, breathing.
Talk about breathing.
All right, so, you weren't here last week. All right, so last week we talked about
Breathing.
how your emotions, the body does not convey an emotion without the breath. So whenever a person is feeling anxiety, they have a certain type of breathing, and it's normally short and shallow. So anxiety has a breathing pattern. Depression has a breathing pattern. Also, success has a breathing pattern. And so what you want to do is control your breath. Deeply in and out, in a way that you engage your full lung, bottom, mid, and top. Most people, especially in the West, when they breathe, only breathe in and their chest goes up. When in actuality, when you breathe in, your stomach should go out first. And then you bring the air up. And then out. And that is called a complete union breath in ancient Egypt. It has tremendous health benefits. You won't have to worry about COVID. or any of those breathing ailments if you exercise your full lung. Most people don't, and that's why they have a lot of respiratory diseases or they fall prey to a lot of colds and sicknesses. But if you are in the habit of breathing deeply and getting all of the dirt, grime, germs, bacteria out, you have tremendously improved your health. But that's all we got for today. Got to get ready for the next class.
Gotcha.